With the India-England series now inching closer and closer, there's obviously a lot of talk coming out from both sides really about what exactly it is you can expect. There's verbal shots being fired, there's talk about pitches, there is talk about sledging, there's talk about a lot of things. And of course, there is talk also about the fact that a hyper-aggressive baseball style England are going to be descending on Indian shores where, truth be told, less than favorable conditions will be awaiting them. You're going to have spin-friendly conditions and you're going to have top quality spinners to contend against. So who exactly starts favorite in this case? Well, you would think it would be India, but there is a lot of chatter from certain sections of, you can say, the English fandom and even the media that perhaps maybe this aggressive style of play that England have been espousing in recent times might be the antidote to counter very spin-friendly conditions, some would say extremely spin-friendly conditions that you're going to be getting in India. And that doesn't seem to be a popular opinion because there are many who are saying that, look, the best you can hope for England is that they compete and compete well because India are definitely going to be the favourites. In fact, that is exactly the thoughts of Michael Atherton, who is of course now a renowned broadcast journalist but is also a former England captain. In fact, let's take a look at exactly what it is that Atherton said before we delve deep into analysis the way we do right here in Sports Today. So he said that I think India will win. That's Atherton's thoughts. The spinners are better than England, India spinners that is, and that will be the defining thing in the end. That part's very important. India's spinners are much better and that will be the defining thing in the end. In fact, Atherton has gone on to say that, if you look at how it is things are played in India, spin is always going to play a big part, and now you can argue that it's been even more so the case because ever since the inception of the World Test Championship, result-oriented cricket has become more and more important, which means that certain nations have taken, let's say, the characteristics that you'd usually expect from their pitches and turned it up a notch to ensure that test matches aren't going the distance, they're not going to be a draw, and that you're going to get a result. India definitely have done that. You've seen more often than not many pitches where you couldn't call them spin friendly. In fact, they're so spin conducive that batting becomes nigh on impossible on those pitches, which is why Atherton's point that, look, their spinners are of a different caliber, will be making and they will make a difference is a valid one. In fact, he's even spelled out how exactly India are, let's say, better suited given the kind of variety they have in their spin department. He said that, look, India's 4 spinners are very different. They have 2 left-armers in Ravindra Jadeja and Akshar Patel. They have a wrist spinner in Kuldeep Yadav, and Ravichandran Ashwin is one of the greatest spinners of all time. That's the thing. It's heavy praise from a man who knows a thing or two about Test cricket in his finest form. And he's right. India have a lot of variety and can be playing a number of combinations. In fact, if you go back to India during the Border Gavaskar series that took place at the start of 2023, they were often playing 3 spinners. 3 spinners was the default. You had 2 all-rounders in Jadeja and Akshar, and you had 1 bowling all-rounder in R. Ashwin, because again, I would consider Ashwin a bowling all-rounder in tests, at least when it comes to, the longest formats, and particularly in Indian conditions. And as he says, Ashwin is one of the greatest spinners of all time, an absolute beast in Indian conditions. Then you have a Jadeja and Akshar who are very familiar with the kind or what the amount of damage that they can do in the kind of conditions that are going to be presented to them. And that's not even factoring in a Kuldeep Yadav, because again, Kuldeep in recent times has been like a man reborn but hasn't gotten that many opportunities in Test cricket. The presence of Ashwin doubtless has something to do with that, but Kuldeep also is someone, if he does get a chance to play, would potentially wreak havoc on this lineup, because again, wrist spinners always a little bit more attacking, and the kind of spin that Kuldeep can get even on pitches that aren't necessarily turning, imagine how dangerous he'll be on pitches that do offer him that kind of assistance. He's been very full of praise, Atherton, for the kind of spinners that India have, and he's actually highlighted how it is that they're very different than the England spinners. The one key thing he's picked on is experience. He said that England have a solid left-arm spinner in Jack Leach and then 3 inexperienced spinners with Tom Hartley, Shoaib Bashir and Rehan Ahmed. It will be a particular challenge, but the selectors see a high ceiling for them. Now see, both of these points very correct. Beyond Jack Leach, there isn't that much experience in this lineup at all. In fact, you can argue that there's little to no experience, given that Tom Hartley and Shoaib Bashir are only being called up, particularly for this series, haven't really played a test match at this point. And Rehan Ahmed, whilst he has played a couple of test matches and is definitely seen as one for the future. This is going to be the first time he's going to be touring India, so whole different challenge for him. It's definitely, as he says, it will be a particular challenge. And as he points out, right now for England, the goal is that, they see a high ceiling for them. So you need to be blooding them. How do you blood spinners? Well, the best way to do it is to send them in the best spinning conditions you're going to get and see how exactly it is they do. I mean, you saw even with Australia when they came in, yes, they had Nathan Lyon, but they also had Todd Murphy. They also had a Matthew Kuhneman in the lineup. In fact, you can argue that they could have had someone like an Ashton Agar as well. They chose not to take him. So they did have spinners, and some of those spinners, the new spinners, definitely hurt India. Murphy was good on a few occasions. Kuhneman, you'd remember, was Australia's wrecker-in-chief in that indoor test where, they ended up inflicting a lot of damage and eventually ended up winning the test as well. So I'm not so sure I agree with AajTak's assessment here that they'll find it a challenge. If they stick to bowling simple stump to stump and ensure that they let the pitch do the talking, they might very well end up getting some success, especially when you consider that India, despite the fact that they're the home team, do tend to find themselves uncomfortable, let's say, in very, very extremely spin-friendly conditions. You saw that in Indore as well. The top order definitely struggled. It was once again left on the low order, and it was too little too late. Having said that, his point is a valid one, that India's spinners come with pedigree. England's spinners come with potential. With pedigree, proven match winners, you know what you're getting. With potential, you may very well see a couple of match winning performances, but it's going to be a trial by fire for a lot of them, because whilst they might have spin friendly conditions, they're also up against an intimidating India side who haven't lost a home series in over a decade at this point in time. So that is, of course, AajTak's assessment on why he feels India would be the favourites. His assessment is simple. Their spinners are way better. He's not talked much about the batting here. His main focus has been their spinners are much better, and therefore they have a better chance of winning. What are your thoughts on AajTak's comments? Do you agree with them? Do you think he's entirely in the wrong? What are your thoughts? You can let us know that in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, tap that bell icon as well. Also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Don't forget to download the AajTak app, and if you're already on the channel, well, then go right ahead, check out some other videos we've done as well. For now though, from my side, it's goodbye.